Welcome back to the official Thompson Resume Writing Company YouTube channel. I am Tamika Thompson and I am the owner and resume writer at Thompson Resume Writing Company. And for this video, I'm going to be giving you some tips on how you can keep yourself prepared just in case a layoff or a termination happens. Now, I am not speaking this into existence for you guys. Lord knows I've experienced it enough in my career and I don't want it to happen to anyone else. But we have to be honest with ourselves in realizing the fact that our jobs can be here today and gone tomorrow. When you logged out of work on Friday, you were employed, you had a job, but you can log in or walk in on Monday and you can experience a layoff or termination out of nowhere. And I did record a video on this talking about some of the 5 warning signs that a layoff or a termination may be coming your way soon, but oftentimes there are no signs. And regardless of whether there's a sign or not, or if it happens, you need to be prepared to keep it moving in your career no matter what. Now, the tips that I'll be sharing in this video is mostly from personal experience. As I've opened up in previous videos, I have unfortunately been fired and I've also been laid off. Both of them suck, but luckily I've been able to bounce back and come back better by implementing the tips that I'll be sharing with you. So without further ado, here are some ways that you can stay ready just in case a layoff or termination is headed your way. Number 1 on this list is to have a solid emergency savings fund that can tide you over for at least 3 to 6 months and keep all of your financial accounts in good standing. At most, you can pay them up and pay them off. Now, I'm lucky in a sense that my mom taught me about financial management and how to manage my money and the importance of saving at a very young age. And as I grew in my career and grew into adulthood, I prioritized savings over pretty much anything else. So much so that I had about 30 to 35% of my paycheck going into my savings alone. And with the extra money that I was bringing in from resume writing, I was putting that towards the interest on my car, credit cards that I had at the time, as well as some private student loans. So when I did experience losing my job unexpectedly, I had more than 6 months of savings saved up. And I also, at that point, didn't have a card note. I had no credit card debt and I did not have any private student loans. Now, I did have federal, but I was able to go ahead and put those in a temporary forbearance. So that was a payment that I didn't have to worry about. In addition to that, I did have unemployment come in as a result of the Illinois unemployment law. So I was able to tide myself over between 6 to 8 months just off of the reserves that I had. It's always a good rule of thumb to make sure that you have something in savings. Call it a rainy day fund, call it an emergency savings fund, and make sure that you're putting enough aside to tide you over until you get your next job. And I did talk about this in a previous video that it tends to take on average upwards of 90 days to land a new position. So until that time, until you get that offer letter, until you get your first paycheck, which sometimes is an additional couple of weeks after that, you need to make sure that your bills are still getting paid and nothing is outstanding, nothing is getting cut off, nothing is getting repossessed or anything like that. And after you pay all of your bills, set some money aside in savings, maybe have some discretionary or some guilt-free spending. If you have anything left over or if you have any additional money coming in, use that as an opportunity to put that towards any debt that you may have that you can get off of your back sooner rather than later. This way, that's one less bill, one less expense that you have to worry about if you find yourself suddenly without a job. Because I can tell you from experience, when I did lose my job, not having my $400 card note was such a relief. Not to mention paying off debt is always good for your credit score. Number 2 on this list is to always keep your resume updated at all times. And I did record a video on this talking about the essential importance of making sure that your resume is always updated. When you lose your job, the first thing that you automatically want to do is start searching for another one. But if your resume is not updated and you have to take a week or 2, maybe even longer to update your resume, you are wasting time and you're prolonging your job search, which is something that you don't want to do, especially if financially you may be a little bit pressed. Every 6 months or at the end of every year, make sure that you are updating your resume. And I'll even go as far to say as anytime you accomplish something or anytime you have something noteworthy to add to your resume, do it in that moment. So right now it's June. If you just completed a degree program, if you graduated with your bachelor's, you graduated with your master's, or you are entering an internship program, put that on your resume ASAP. Keeping your resume updated, in my opinion, is just as important as making sure all of your bills are paid on time and the maintenance on your car. If you go to the auto shop ahead of time, you make sure you get your oil changes, you get your assessments of the car, you get your review of the car, find out if you need new brakes or something like that. Your resume is just as important, because if you lose your job, this document is going to be the key to you being able to move forward so that you can continue to afford your lifestyle, make sure that your family is taken care of, and I'm sure that you don't want to be stuck being unemployed for long, and your resume is going to be essential in helping you being able to land a new job quicker and faster. Number 3 on this list is to make sure that you are managing your professional relationships and you're making an effort to consistently grow your network. Now, networking is something that I feel like people put to the wayside until they need something. So oftentimes someone will be job searching on Indeed and they'll see this amazing position, maybe at Nike or Ulta or Target, and all of a sudden they hop on LinkedIn and they're messaging the recruiter or someone who works for that company and things like that. That's fine, but it's better to grow your network and meet people proactively rather than when you need something in the moment. This allows you to build an authentic relationship with someone versus just reaching out to someone when you need something and they looking at you sideways. Managing your professional relationships can mean sending an email once every so often to your professional contacts. So maybe if it's a former manager, maybe it's past classmates, maybe it's people that you've worked with in the past, and making an effort to consistently grow your network can consist of being more active on LinkedIn, adding people to your network on LinkedIn, going to maybe virtual or in-person professional gatherings. So maybe it's a conference, maybe it's a workshop, maybe it's a day camp or some sort of a training. Be sure to follow up with them and keep in touch. Now, I know that we are all super busy, so I'm not saying that you have to reach out to these people every day or even every week, but every so often, maybe around the holidays, send out a LinkedIn message, send out an email. If you know their birthday, you can reach out to them during that time too, just to keep your name in their circle. This way, when or if you happen to lose your job, you have those strong connections. They're familiar with you. They know who you are, they remember you, and you can comfortably reach out to them to maybe connect you to a new opportunity, serve as a reference, and more. This has saved my butt so much, I cannot even tell you. In my last job search, I was able to snag between 5 and 6 interviews just from people who were in my network. And I also had a long list of people who were more than willing to serve as a reference for me while I was going through multiple interview processes. It's estimated that 85%, that is a big number, you guys, is filled through networking alone. And this means that someone received or was awarded a position because they knew someone who knew someone who knew them. And this is not to say that someone who gets a job because of networking is not qualified, but it means that they had a leg up. Not only do they have the experience and the background that the recruiter or the hiring manager is looking for, but they had someone on the inside or someone on their side that vouched for them. And that is powerful. And online events as well. And last on this list is to always be learning, what I like to call ABL. So I've stated this in a previous video as well, that constantly learning new skills is an excellent way to continue to grow your net worth and your experience and your abilities over time. I've seen people who have been in positions for a number of years, so let's say 3 years or longer, and during that entire time frame they haven't learned anything new. So when they're suddenly thrust into the job market, there's all this software and there's all these qualifications and there's all these skills that they don't know anything about and that they don't have, which puts them at a disadvantage. I strongly encourage you to stay in tune and keep your pulse or your thumb on whatever is evolving and growing in your industry. So in marketing, there's always some sort of a new software. I do my best to try to stay on top of them. If there's an opportunity for me to get certified in those systems or those software, I'm going to go after it. If there's some sort of a certificate program or some sort of a boot camp that I need to take to learn a new process or a new evolution in digital marketing, I am going to take it because that keeps me at the top of my game. A rule of thumb is to, at least every 6 months or maybe once a year, take some sort of a certificate, take some sort of a training. You're up to speed and you're confident and you're in the know about what is needed from you to be able to excel in your industry. Oftentimes with people who have not continuously or have not prioritized learning, when they find themselves having to search for a new job, it really impacts their confidence when they're reading through those list of skills, the software and the things that they need to know, and they know that they don't know them and they don't have them, and it can be extremely discouraging. So do yourself a favor by making sure that you are constantly learning something new in your industry, in your field, that can give you an edge and keep you up to speed. So those are some tips on how you can always stay ready to lose your job. And I know it sounds kind of crazy, kind of funky, but again, jobs can be here today and gone tomorrow, and they don't owe us any explanation. We need to be able to move forward and keep our lives going no matter what. Losing a job can be traumatic, and it can also be very devastating and impactful in a lot of negative ways, right? People lose their jobs and they lose their homes, they get evicted, they lose their cars, and I don't want that to happen to anyone. So these tips can help you prevent some of the turmoil that can happen when and if you lose your job. If there's one tip in particular that you will be implementing right after you watch this video, go ahead and comment that down below as well. If you need assistance with your resume, feel free to reach out to me. My email address is hello@thompsonresumes.com. You can also visit my website at www.thompsonresumes.com. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I also have an email list that you can subscribe to by clicking the link in the description box down below. If you are watching this video but you're not subscribed to my growing YouTube community, but you liked watching this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so that you can stay in tune with more helpful resume and career tips. Thank you all for watching. Again, I hope you found it helpful, and I'll see y'all in another video. Bye!